And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge. I'm Anthony Irwin, joined on this fine Thursday afternoon. Well, it's not so fine where I'm at. It's kind of gross. It's like 45 degrees out.
Right hold on. I'm looking outside. It's a nice day here in LA. And even if it wasn't a nice day here in LA, it would still be a fine Thursday after what we are about to talk about. So,
yeah, well, we're going to talk about the Lakers-Clippers game from last night. We're going to talk about the rest of the season and the stretch that the Lakers currently find themselves on. We're going to talk about what is at stake, given the expectations that we're hoping to set here throughout this conversation. And then if there's time at the very end of the show, we're going to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie, who has been bad since he got to
you know what? We might need to move that up because I disagree. But continue.
All right,
go ahead.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Aaron, and to the audience that is watching and eventually listening, I erred grievously last night. Okay. I was really bad at my job. The perfect opportunity. Yeah. Well, the perfect opportunity came and went to play one of the greatest bits of audio in audio history, not Lakers podcasting history, not like, recent history even. I'm talking about ever. This is what I should have played last night.
Welcome, everybody, to the Locked On Lakers podcast.
Paul George really hit the side of the backboard.
It was wide open. I can't even make sense.
Lou Williams, he said they just came together this year as if that was an excuse, like the other team in the conference finals didn't do that.
Well, what happened was it doesn't even matter.
We didn't have time to get it together. Like we just.
Did he say that with like lemon pepper wings in his mouth? Is that what happened there?
You're licking it off his
like,
fingers.
oh man, there were some absences that cost us some time.
I just can't quite figure
out it out of his teeth.
Why we don't have any chemistry.
It's like, Lou, in your mic'd up segment, you said 1, 2, 3 Magic City, leaving the last huddle.
All right, we're going to keep this thing going. Let's take a quick second. And to be clear,
they didn't even make the Western Conference. After all that.
So I've never heard that before. By the way, shout out Lou Will, because those wings are delicious. But I thought I heard Harrison, and I thought the wings are delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's good wings there. I thought I heard you
and thighs,
and Harrison and Coach.
Breasts, actually,
the lemon pepper wings are delicious there. Is this going to be the first Hennessy is Delicious that does not include Lakers basketball, where I have to avoid getting the Lakers?
Is lemon pepper fine? Is lemon pepper one of the strippers' names there? Like, man, I love
those lemon peppers. Nice. I mean, I thought I heard. I've never heard that wonderful bit of audio that you just played with like a basically like 4th grade video package combined with it. So shout out to that. But I'm pretty sure I heard Harrison and pretty sure I heard Coach Pete. Was it just the 3 of you?
It was the 3 of us. So the backstory on that is that we were at there was during the COVID year and everybody was in the bubble and the Clippers got knocked out before they even made the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
In the same season, by the way, that they were doing all of like the street lights over spotlight stuff and we over me and all of that nonsense. And that season ended hilariously, right? They
what was it? Something
they crapped all over a 3-1 lead in the second round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we just we hopped on, and I said, all right, guys, I'm going to give the backstory to this. So this is back. You guys saw the image as it was playing there. You saw my old show. You saw Locked On Lakers, which Harrison and I founded way back in the day. And then Pete took over for Harrison when Harrison took his full-time gig at SB Nation. And when Pete and I were doing the show together, I said, hey, man, we have to mock the Clippers for this. So I texted Harrison too. I was like, hey, are you busy? He goes, no, what's up? I go, hey, do you want to come on and just laugh at the Clippers for a bit? And so we literally, so we started the show, and I was like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I want to see how long we can hold a laugh for. I want to see how long we can laugh at these guys for, not in nothing else, but just laughing at these guys and see how long we can go for. And you saw it was 2 minutes straight of laughing. And then throughout the rest of that episode, we were actually we continued to just kind of, we would analyze and then laugh and analyze and laugh and all that stuff. And my favorite part of that is that I used to do welcome everybody to the Locked On Lakers podcast. I couldn't get through that. If you listen to the very beginning of it, you see how quickly I lose it. Welcome everybody to the Locked On Lakers podcast. I couldn't even get the podcast by the time we got
I have a game to get to tonight, so just play that on a loop. I think that's I mean, anytime you can make fun of the Clippers or the Celtics, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, and that was a historic choke job on the part of the Clippers, just like last night. Also, a historic choke job. The Clippers were up by 21 points. There was a stat from the show last night that I should have saved, that apparently teams in the fourth quarter with a 21-point lead were 636-0. The Lakers snapped that streak that existed but before that one. The Lakers needed only LeBron James in that fourth quarter. He outscored the Clippers by himself in that period. It was such a great game, and it was kind of funny because it was the last game at between the Lakers and the Clippers at Staples Center. Yeah, I'm calling it Staples for the sake of this conversation. I'm calling it Staples because so much of that history is made up with that name.
And
recent history has really sucked. Unless it's the last one between the two at Staples. Unless you get the playoffs, yeah.
So and by the way, I watched some of the ESPN broadcast. I was kind of flipping back and forth, but I watched some of the ESPN broadcast, and they said that the Lakers had not won a Clippers home game. It was I think they said since 2000, which doesn't sound right, but it had not won a quote unquote Clippers home game in quite some time.
I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that the Clippers have not played a home game against the Lakers in their existence. Right? Last night was insane because the Lakers go on their run, and Damon Rangula played a clip or tweeted out a clip of the pop in that building when D'Lo made his shot, and it was that's supposed to be a Clippers home game, and it was just so loud when D'Lo hit that shot there. You weren't there, were you? Did you go to the game?
No, I did not. No, I did not go.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just it was crazy.
By the way, good riddance, Clippers. No, I don't go for. It's not true. I go sometimes when it's a Clippers home game, but good riddance. Beat it.
I really
looking
hope
back, I should have gone.
I hope that somebody gets their hands on the selfies when the Clippers do finally leave, and just a ritual fire to all of it, to those stupid selfies that hang over the banners. There are a few things in sports that legitimately offend me, that aren't actually offensive.
Okay.
But them covering up the Lakers' accomplishments. All right, fine. You want to cover up the titles, whatever. But you want to cover up guys getting their numbers retired? That is wrong to me, right? Those guys played entire careers, and these motherfuckers, because Doc Rivers is just the biggest loser in the NBA, he's just no, we can't celebrate those people during our home games. It's you didn't have to. You don't have to be at this building. You didn't have to sublet. Like you guys could have like clearly, as soon as Ballmer showed up, he was like, yeah, we should probably have our own building. Yeah, that was always an option. You like you
I mean,
guys could have
really,
gone.
I just like we could have solved all this and just Ballmer take them to your hometown of Seattle. Just like go away,
Yeah.
solve all this. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, that Intuit Dome does look kind of nice. It does look a lot of toilets, but it does look pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. Although, how weird is what is it, like the Clippers wall thing where they have 51 rows of like.
It's
you have
nice
to pass checkpoints.
Clippers fan is going to have their own row. Like it's really nice that they're they'll have their one spot because no fans of other teams aren't allowed there, right? So
yeah, I don't know how they're going to enforce that, but they
really enjoy their leg room with the 5 of them out there and like really get together and have a good time on those games at that wall.
Wait, can it be story time now? This has reminded me of something. I don't think I've ever told this story, and this is not entirely basketball related. But go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me get to this super comment from Brandon Omeng, which means we get to play this when I find it. Should I play again? I'm gonna play. Sure. Brandon Omeng writes, keep Rui at 30 to 35 minutes a game, Torian Prince to 15 minutes. Honestly, wish Max would take Torian's minutes, but I know Ham won't do that. Also, congrats on Lakers Daily. Thank you very much, Brandon.
What's Lakers Daily? How do I not know this? What's Lakers Daily?
Oh, I tweeted it out yesterday. I am their official Lakers insider now.
Oh,
I probably should have said that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, hey, congrats.
Brad.
Okay,
I am
good. Congrats.
Yeah, so to those of you who, all right, I'm going to restart the show. Ready? And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin of Lakers Daily. Lakers insider for Lakers Daily.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
How did you botch this the second time too?
Dude, you could ask every employer I have ever worked with. I am not good at like the beginnings of like, hey, make sure you guys subscribe, rate, review, all of that stuff. Right. I am not good at it. Hey, by the way, please do subscribe, rate.
Right. Yes, review. Absolutely.
But yeah, the minutes thing, Rui has been playing pretty poorly actually lately. So I don't know that I would like the thing that kind of annoys me is that I feel like Darvin doesn't have a very good feel for when guys do or do not have it. And, you know, he kind of has his mind made up when the game starts on who is going to play what role and all of that stuff. And has a really hard time coming off of those decisions. The best example of this, right, was when he said that somehow Anthony Davis picking up a second foul in the first quarter meant that Max Christie couldn't get minutes in the first half against Phoenix. That was weird.
And by the way, and then again last night, something similar.
No Max again.
Right, yeah, something similar. And AD with the two early fouls.
Yeah, and he stuck with AD this time, just like he stuck with AD against San Antonio. You got to trust your best, your all-world defensive center to know to not pick up that third foul. And you know, the 2 times that he stuck with him, the Lakers won those games. Weird that playing Anthony Davis in his minutes like winds up helping. But yeah, part of the reason I wanted to talk about Dinwiddie though is because of the Max element to that. So we'll get to that later in the show.
Yeah, I think yes, that's the right question. Yes,
but I you know, you watch a game like last night, and I thought it was a perfect summary of this Lakers season, right? Where the Lakers at their best look incredible, right? They have, as I said earlier, whenever it was last week or the week before, that like if NBA teams all threw a football as far as they possibly could, like they used to in the Pro Bowl, that the Lakers would be able to throw the ball as far as basically anybody other than Denver Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are the only team that like when they really get behind that football and throw it, the Lakers can't get there with them.
I hate this, but Boston's fastball might be.
Lakers already beat them.
Boston's fastball might be the helicopter. The ghetto bird is circling and does not agree with me.
Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get when you say nice things about Boston.
I'm not saying nice things about Boston. I hate Boston. I hate the Celtics. I hate the city and the team.
It's you.
I don't know, but to be honest, if we're going to be honest, Boston's whatever long throw football Pro Bowl thing. let's go. Like their fastball might be their ceiling. How about this? Their 1 game ceiling, I think, might be just as high as Denver's.
But I disagree because I am not willing to compliment Boston under any circumstances, and especially not when I saw the Lakers beat the Boston Celtics
without AD and LeBron. Yeah.
LeBron and AD. Like
in Boston,
they are frauds.
In Boston,
they are frauds until proven otherwise.
Look, we've seen them be playoff frauds for the last several years, so I guess they are frauds until they're not. I'm with that. They're pretty good. It makes me nervous. They're pretty good.
Yeah. So all right. So I want to talk about expectations though, right? And where we should have them. I think we obviously have to lower our expectations of them compared to what they were coming into the season. I thought they were championship contenders coming into the season. I would probably take them out of that conversation at this point. But that doesn't mean though that like there's a lot at stake, that there isn't a lot at stake this season, right? Like, the reason I want to do this and why I want to go down this path with you is discuss the ramifications of not meeting even these new expectations. Cause I think they've already come far enough below expectations coming into the season that like, there's probably going to have to be some hard conversations had regardless. But if we lower our expectations now, and they come in below even that, then we really got to have some tough conversations about, or not we, but you.
Why do I hate it here. I love you, but I hate it. So this is a fascinating thing, and I'll make it a more of a macro conversation. I said before this season that I thought that there were 6 teams that had a chance at winning the title. I thought Denver was going to win the West. I still do. I thought the Lakers, Suns, and Warriors were in the next group that had a chance. And then from the East, Boston and Milwaukee. I still think that the champ is coming from that group. The Suns to a certain extent, the Warriors and Lakers to a greater extent have kind of floundered around and fumbled through the regular season. And look, to be fair, at this point, well, I think it's a Bill Parcells quote, right? You are what your record says you are. Mm-hmm. But so yeah, like the expectations can be lowered. And like for whatever you think about Gabe's game, he has been he hasn't played yet. Or whatever, he's played a couple games, and Vando is a big loss because compounded with Gabe, and then also Cam, who came back yesterday. Like the Lakers' point of attack defense has been a problem, and those are the best 3 guys at it. But I still think the Lakers have, outside of Denver, I think the Lakers have just as good of a chance as anyone to win the West. So I think it's kind of complicated. To your point about the Lakers' best punch or longest throw or fastball. Look, Zach Lowe makes a really good point. And this was about the Lakers last year going into the playoffs. About you have LeBron, you have AD, you have a puncher's chance. And I think that's true. And I still think that's true. The problem is, like, you can have a puncher's chance in 1 series, but having a puncher's chance to win 4 series, to win a title is a very different thing. So I don't yes, the Lakers have not been as good in the regular season as I thought they would be. And, to your point, whatever that does to expectations going forward. But as we saw last year, by the way, with both the Lakers and the Warriors, the Warriors were 6th, but the Lakers were 7th in the play-in and both advanced out of the first round. I think that kind of thing is still on the table for the Lakers. And that means there is still everything to play for. Do I think the Lakers can beat Denver? No, I don't. Like, plainly, I don't think the Lakers can beat Denver. But like everybody else in the West, I'm not saying I would favor the Lakers in all these series. But again, like I had Denver in a tier by themselves, and I had the Suns, Lakers, and Warriors in a tier below that as possible championship contenders. And that still feels that way to me. Like, I don't believe in the Clippers. I guess you could put the Clippers in there if you want. I'm not buying it. even though Doc Rivers isn't the coach anymore, that's so they're not going to lose a 3-1 lead in every playoff series. Like, I'm not ready to buy the Clippers. I understand people do, but to me, it is still Denver's conference to lose, and I think I would pick still the Lakers, Suns, and Warriors, like against OKC or against Minnesota, against Sacramento. So it kind of feels in a different way like how I thought it would be to begin with. Even though like it's not looked great for a lot of the season, I still find myself putting the Lakers in the same class or group as I had them before. Not good enough to beat Denver, but it's got a decent chance against anybody else.
Where do you set your expectations though? Right? Like, what would you consider success or failure this year based on that potential and based on, because as you say all of those things about what the Lakers are capable of at their best, at their worst, they're capable of like
I lose anybody, right? Lost to the Rockets.
I wouldn't be shocked if they lost tonight. Like if they messed around and lost to the Wizards.
The Wizards are fucking terrible. But like, shout out my guy.
So are the Lakers when Darvin Ham plays Taurean Prince at the 4. Like,
okay, so that's a separate conversation, and we'll have that here in a little bit. Yeah, I do think I think to go along with your your analogy of the Lakers can throw the ball 75 yards in the air at best.
They can also really good at fumbling it.
They can also
throw it backwards and hit the judge.
They can also like skip one, 4 yards away, trying to throw a swing pass and skip it in the dirt a couple times. Yeah, I mean, that's true too. And again, this is kind of like you are what your record says you are. And the Lakers, the Suns, the Warriors have very high highs, but the Suns are a little different. But like the reason the Lakers are in 9th is because there hasn't been that consistency. Like the Lakers A game may be up there with anybody. And I think you're probably right. But the Lakers have not done a great job of getting to their B- game or their B game, that consistency nearly enough.
Yeah.
I did one part of, though, I think, look, how much of this has to do with LeBron, right? And I do think that the Lakers in one game play-in scenarios, I don't think the Lakers are going to get up to 6th. So it's going to be a play-in scenario, hopefully in the 7-8 matchup. But like when LeBron has time to go, this is the game I have to win, LeBron can still do it. And that becomes true in a playoff series also, right? When LeBron can focus on it, when there aren't going to be back-to-backs. So I think the Lakers are going to be a better playoff team than regular season team. I like, again, outside of Denver, if you told me they beat anybody outside of Denver, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I see it, because it's not about the night-to-night grind of the regular season for LeBron specifically. Because last night you could see, like, LeBron took the game over offensively, was making all those whatever he made, like 4 threes pretty early in the 4th. It wasn't even about that. It was LeBron doing that gave everybody else belief. It gave everybody, and he started guarding Kawhi, but it gave everybody else belief. So they started guarding because the Lakers weren't guarding earlier. And that like LeBron energy brought everybody else's belief along, which was not there before. And so in a playoff series, like, can LeBron do it in a playoff series every game? Still probably not, but more often than he's going to in the regular season. And again, like, I think the Lakers are going to be a better playoff team than regular season team.
I agree.
Sorry, to answer your question though, let me give a one-word answer. Like, what is the expectation? This is the goddamn Lakers. You win a championship or the season's a failure, period.
Okay. Well, except they considered last year a success, and such a success that they brought back everybody and was like,
they considered not a success. They considered last year a good season, not a success, a good season, and showed something that they thought was worth trying to build off of. It's not a success. It's either a championship.
And they forgot to CC Darvin and all of the emails that said we're doing the continuity thing. Darvin's like, what did
Darvin not being CC'd is funny. God, I hate you. That's funny though. That is funny.
It's like everybody's all excited all summer long. They're emailing back and forth. Man, and just imagine we could use Vando and like screen and rolls and stuff like that. And Darvin's like, we signed Torrey and Prince. What? Oh! Chris Middleton, let's go. So yeah, I the reason I ask about the expectations though is because like there's a lot at stake, right? Like, you know, I think everybody that I've spoken to around the Lakers are still very optimistic about LeBron and the Lakers continuing this relationship beyond this upcoming season.
I agree.
But like if he does get the sense that the organization isn't going anywhere or isn't going to address them falling short of even these new lowered expectations, then I wouldn't blame him for saying like, I mean, if you aren't about winning, then like, why do I need to be here? Right. And you know, for Darvin Ham, right. He had that run in last year's playoffs during the regular season. I think that playoff run has, I think, masked a lot of the frustration that we had with Darvin last year, that it took trading Russell Westbrook for people to finally get a look at what Austin Reeves could even bring to the table. Because Darvin kind of refused to utilize Austin, you know, fully while Russ was there. And then in the postseason, you know, yeah, he hit some right buttons. You know, you had the Lonnie Walker game, which came out of nowhere, right? And I think that was a testament to Darvin Ham and getting guys to stay ready and maintaining that buy-in. But then there was also like how long it took to get D'Lo out of the starting lineup against the Nuggets in that sweep series. That, like, I mean, you got swept anyway, so there's nothing that he could have done that would have changed the outcome of the series. But could you have won an extra game or two and maybe made them sweat a little bit more? And then now you go into the season, and this season's been a disaster for Darvin Ham, right? Like, I don't know how else I can describe the season when you have at 1.6 different sources close to the Lakers willing to go and talk to reporters for The Athletic about the job that Darvin is doing. I have gotten all of my information over I've gotten an actual job out of the fact that I've been able to correctly report about some of the vibes in that locker room and some of the other stuff that's gone on having to do with the Lakers and stuff. And like, there's just when this season ends, there are still going to be these questions in that locker room about Darvin Ham. And if they fall short of expectations, like, you know, I think fans and players want to know, all right, well, if this is what we're seeing, the expectation is, like, the expectation to me is you have to make the playoffs and you have to win a round, right? Like that I would say is where, you know, anything less than that is a disaster of a season, because you went from winning a Western Conference Finals, improving your roster, LeBron and AD were healthy, and you got way worse in terms of outcome.
Yeah, you
right?
went to appearing in the Western Conference Finals, not winning a Western Conference.
Oh,
Finals.
sorry,
yeah, but yeah, no, look, again, like, it's the Lakers, so for Lakers fans, and you are one of them, like, I'm not gonna disagree with you if you have whatever your expectations are, because again, the Lakers' expectations coming from Rob and Jeannie and me and everybody else is win a title, or like it's binary for the Lakers. You won a title or you didn't. Yes, there are like degrees of success and degrees of failure within that, but like, really, if you say like whatever, Anthony, you tend negative, and you and I talk about this a lot. Well, not tend, you skew negative. But
I have high expectations.
Yeah,
you have high
fine.
expectations of the Warriors.
You know what?
Like, does that mean you skew negative on the Warriors?
I don't skew anyway on the Warriors. I just kind of pay attention to the Warriors.
You've only been firing Steve Kerr all season. Do you want to give me your thoughts
Steve
on
Kerr for 7 seasons? What are you talking about? 8, maybe. I think it might be 8. Extension? I'm furious. The team of my youth has failed. It's all 30. Like,
you know how I felt all season.
It's all 30. So I like if you were to say that you like if this is not good enough if X, right? You just said make the real playoffs, not the play in, make the real playoffs and win a round. Otherwise, it's a failure. That's fine. Like I have no pushback against that. That doesn't happen a lot from a 7 or 8 seed, which is the best the Lakers can hope for. Okay, it's the best the Lakers can reasonably hope for at this point. Is playing 2 or 1, but I do think more than normal. I mean, last year was the case too. Again, the Lakers got, I don't want to say lucky, but like Memphis, who was pretty injured, is not like the normal quality of a 2 seed. The Kings, who were the 3 seed, they weren't the quality of a 3 seed like normally. So I do think the matchups matter, right? Like, do you trust Minnesota? Do you trust OKC? They've both been really good this year, but neither, like Minnesota at least has won a playoff game. OKC has literally never won a playoff game with this group. Minnesota has never won a playoff round with this group. They've literally won 1 game. So I think it could be a case again where even though like it's 7 and 8 is you don't win, 7 and 8 seeds do not win in the first round. I do think it sets up kind of favorably for the Lakers if they can get to the 7 or 8 seed, get out of the play-in and make the real playoffs. So if you want to take that and say like your expectation is you have to win a round, Lakers, I don't have pushback against that. I think that's like, it's not really reasonable, but like, I get it. And I have no pushback because everybody in the building, everybody in El Segundo is saying like, we win the title or it's a failure, period.
Well, like what's not reasonable about, you were just in the Western Conference Finals.
No. It's 7 or 8 seeds. Like generally just like, it's not a reasonable expectation of a 7 or 8 seed to win a round in the playoffs.
But like what's folded into that expectation is the fact that the Lakers shouldn't have been a 7 or an 8 seed to begin with.
Fair.
You know?
But again, as we talked about earlier, or I talked about earlier, with the Bill Parcells quote, you are what your record says you are.
Yeah, but like the point of setting expectations, right, is to understand the ramifications if you don't hit those expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ramifications here, like somebody has to be held accountable, you would hope, if you go from playing in the Western Conference Finals last year to being a 7 or an 8 seed or being a 9 or a 10 seed even, to, you know, maybe not even winning a playoff round or maybe not even getting into the playoffs at all. Like if you fall short of that expectation, right, setting that barometer, that baseline expectation from here on out, then there have to be ramifications there organizationally. And, you know, they'd probably have to start with Darvin, right? And we do have another super comment, which means I get to play this to improve the vibe.
What's up, BG?
And that means that we're going to be saying, you know, the super comment from BG the Kid. I don't think Darvin could coach high school ball. I actually think he'd be a really good high school or even college coach. I think he struggles professionally because, like, Raj made this point. I don't know if he made it on the air or when we were done. If it was when we were done, I'm sorry, Raj, for throwing you under the bus here. But he was like, it's always funny when the Lakers play against, you know, better coaches now on nationally televised games where they do like a look into the huddle, and you look at the other coach and they're like, all right, so we're going to run this set here with the second or third option. Look for this back screen on the back, you know, all these things. And you got to make sure that if this personnel is out there, look for this read because this player prefers to play this rotation and all this stuff. And then they focus in on Darvin Ham's huddle. He's like, all right, guys, we got to want it. Everybody's just like, again, we still need to want it. That's your answer. Game 64 of the season, and we're still talking about how much we want it. But yeah,
Anthony, do you like unnamed cognac?
I do.
I would like to tell you it's delicious.
but that's why, you know, essentially, you know, you have these conversations is, all right, you set your baseline expectation, and then you prepare for what happens if you meet those expectations and what preparations need to be made to continue to rise above those expectations. Or if you don't meet those expectations, you need to be prepared for the tough decisions and the tough conversations that are going to be had on the other side of that season.
Okay,
right?
so I think that, as I just said, like, I think whatever expectations you as a fan set are fine, right? Before the season, your expectation is whatever you think it is. And that's fine because, again, I can tell you internally, it's win a championship or, like, we don't give a shit. None of the rest of it matters. But those things are also on a sliding scale, right? So I guess my pushback is, I don't know, maybe it's like semantics, but I think that I've talked about this on the show before, but one of the ways in which I try to live is deal with reality on reality's terms. I've told stories before about where that comes from, but I think it's important to deal with reality on reality's terms, and it is a ever-changing landscape. At this point right now, what do I like? If the Lakers don't get out of the play-in into the real playoffs, I think it's fair to call it a disaster. I think that's fair. If the Lakers get out of the play-in and get into the playoffs and lose to Denver or lose to the Clippers or losing to the Clippers would fucking suck. So put that aside. But, like, right, whatever, the Lakers are the 8 seed and lose to the 1 seed, 4-2 or something. Yeah, it's still disappointing. But I don't know that. I mean, I guess some of it depends on who the opponent is. But I don't think it's fair. I think it's fair to call that a disappointment, but maybe not a disaster. Maybe it's just semantics, right? Maybe none of it matters because winning a championship is the only part that matters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are scales to failure, and there are shades of failure.
Scales to
failures. There's
scales to failure. Like,
yeah,
it's just got to be a whole failure. It can't be just like, it was a disappointment. It's just got to be a whole failure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the part of this that I am going to be paying really close attention to here on out, right? Like, I'm getting ready to write my first piece for Lakers Daily, and the focus of it is going to be.
Remind me again what you're doing at Lakers Daily.
I am the Lakers insider at Lakers Daily, a title they gave me, by the way.
Oh, all right.
They contacted me to be their Lakers insider. Harrison has been laughing for 48 hours.
I like it.
But yeah, we find ourselves here in the spot, like the Lakers are getting ready for the stretch, or they're in the middle now of the stretch. You have this Wizards game tonight, and then you have 8 tough games. Like, it's like 8 tough games all in a row.
Like 12 games though, without having to leave California, which is
it helps.
Yeah, which helps.
It for sure helps, but it still doesn't mean those teams are any less tough. And I think the what the Lakers look like on the other side of that, other side of that stretch there, is going to be very telling for
I mean,
not
that's
just the rest of the season, but this upcoming offseason.
That's the whole thing, right? Because look, the Lakers are not going to miss the play-in, right? Like, the top 10 is the top 10.
Hope not.
Stop it. The Lakers are not falling out of 10th.
Aaron, if they go 2-6, like,
stop it. You think the Rockets and Jazz are just charging back? Stop it. The Lakers may be 10th. They may, whatever. The Lakers may end up 10th, which is not a great scenario because you have to win twice on the
road games.
Both of them on the road, right? And one of which at this point looks like it might be at Golden State, which, yes, there was obviously the classic, which was a lot of fun, the double overtime game, but, like, that's not somewhere you want to have to go win a game against 30. So yes, but the Lakers are not falling out of the play-in. So we can, like, put that aside. But I do agree that, like, a stretch here, it's not going to put the Lakers out of the play-in, but a 2-6 stretch probably means that the Lakers are going to be the 10 seed. The Warriors schedule is, I believe, the 5th easiest remaining in the league, and the Kings and I think it's Mavs presently in 7 and 8. Reverse that. The Mavs in 7 and the Kings in 8 are probably far enough ahead of the Lakers and Warriors in 9 and 10 that if the Lakers were going 2-6, like, you're not doing better than 9th and probably 10th. because of how easy the Warriors schedule is, which makes life really challenging. So yes, this stretch is incredibly important, but okay, this is the hole that has been dug, right? Kind of like last year. Start 2-10, and you're fighting.
But you got to fire the person holding the shovel. Like, is the thing. Like,
so can we?
If you're like, man, I wish we weren't standing in this hole, and then there's this asshole like who's digging over there. You're like, hey, dude.
Yeah. So
you stop.
Shout out, Pops, my stepdad, who actually is visiting right now. Because my sister, his daughter, just had a baby a couple weeks ago. So Mom and Pops are down visiting, and Pops has turned, I think, 84 today. Damn. And he's from he grew up in Arkansas, right? Like on a farm in Arkansas. And so he has all this old like country sayings and all this old wisdom from his days on the farm in Arkansas. And he always says the best way out of a hole is to stop digging.
Yeah. Stop playing Taurean Prince.
Taurean
so
Prince is a fine NBA player. He just is being asked to do things that he shouldn't be asked to do.
Chris Middleton stuff, for example.
Which I also think, I hear I'm hijacking your show, but I think this is part of the Dinwiddie conversation too.
Well, that's what I was going to do. Is I wanted to segue over while we have a few more minutes before you have to get out of here. But I wanted to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie because, when a guy goes to a place for potentially less money, because I believe he could have gotten more money from Dallas than he signed for with the Lakers. And that's not to mention the state income taxes that he wouldn't be paying in Dallas either. So when that happens, you start to wonder, like, was a role promised? And even when he signed, the concern was, does this mean we are not going to see Max anymore? And then Cam comes back last night, and we got a DNP CD for Max, who, frankly, and like Jovan made this point on his show, and he and I have been going back, like, not back and forth because I agree with him, but like Jovan thinks that Max is just a better player right now than Taurean, and I think he's a better player than Cam. I think he's a better player than Spencer. And you have three of those guys that are now ahead of him in the rotation when Max does stuff that the Lakers really need. He knocks down catch and shoot 3-pointers, especially from the corners, and he defends the perimeter really well. Taurean Prince, for some reason, is a really bad corner 3-point shooter. It's one of the weirdest things. He's a good shooter. He just sucks at the corners for some reason. Cam doesn't shoot the ball very well, and his defense has really waned over the course of the year. And then Dinwiddie hasn't shot the ball all year and is such a bad defender that when he tries to defend, he now fouls. So, like, yeah, the Spencer experience, I was excited to bring him in. It was the right call to bring him in. I'm not gonna go that far, but you do have to be willing to pull the ripcord at some point if his play continues this way.
All right, so there's a lot there. I don't think Max is as good as Taurean. I think Taurean's just a better basketball player than Max at this stage. I think Max will be, another year or two will be better than Taurean. However, I do think Max, what he is good at, is more useful to this team. I would just, like, point blank period. And by the way, for everybody in the chat on Twitter who's going to be on my head about it, I have had this conversation with people who are making these decisions, and I have advocated I think Max should be playing more than Taurean. I'm not always right, but so
when you agree with me, you tend to be right. I would say.
Fair enough. Thank you for that. I think Max should play more than Taurean. I think Taurean is better at basketball than Max as of right now. But what they are both being asked to do, or the ways in which the Lakers are deficient, I think Max is better at those things than Taurean. Cam is probably, without Vando, probably the best point of attack defender. He's probably the best point. So, like, yesterday, so here was the thing yesterday, which I did not understand. Cam comes back. Taurean and Cam come into the game in the first quarter, and Taurean immediately goes to
Kawhi.
which I didn't.
You weren't on. You weren't on the stream yesterday with me and the guys.
I was pretty upset. And then immediately Kawhi gets an and one. Like I don't. So I think so to the Dinwiddie part. I think that it was the right. I agree with you. It was the right move. And by the way, for all the shit I got about Darren Collison not signing until later, like I don't want to hear it about Dinwiddie and my recruiting efforts. I think Spencer's been a lot better than you are saying or you are alluding to. He hasn't shot the ball well, but everything else he's been pretty good at. I think the problem though with Spencer is it was the right thing because he's a really talented dude, right? And he can really hoop. And the Lakers have needed some downhill force in the backcourt. However, the problem I think with Spencer is not a Spencer thing. It's that it kind of doesn't prevent Darvin from getting into some bad habits, right? I think it is another piece, and Spencer should play because he's good. Yeah. But it makes the Lakers play smaller again, which I think the Lakers should be getting away from. So it's not a Spencer thing. It's the availability of him, I think, can get Darvin into some bad habits. But I think Spencer, like, other than he's not shot it well, other than that, I think he's been really good. He was by far, at least, when the Lakers were getting their asses kicked last night, he was far and away. And look, one game plus minus is wonky, but he was far and away the best plus minus guy last night before LeBron decided he was Superman.
Yeah, I think that point that you made is the biggest one, is that when Spencer showed up, because of Ham's kind of natural inclinations anyway, it led to some very predictable, frustrating lineups, right? And that's where when you're playing, and he's now done it twice, right? Where he goes with, and it was for only a couple minutes in both games, but now you've done it twice. This is a lineup that he wants to get more of a look at. But when he has D'Lo, Austin, Spencer, and Torian out there together,
Yeah, no, that it just ain't gonna work.
That's not an NBA lineup.
It just ain't gonna work. Well, there's some context there, right? Because look, I'll tell you it ain't gonna work, and you can tell me it's not an NBA lineup, but against whom is part of it, right? Like if you're
Mother Mary the Blind.
If you're playing somebody who's tiny, fine. But yeah, I think in general that's not going to work. And I was on Twitter yesterday begging for Darvin to play Jackson Hayes and AD together. Like, it's allowed. You can play.
Yeah.
You can play both guys on the roster that are taller than 6'8". You can play them together. It is allowed.
Yeah. All right. I think that is going to do it, though, for this episode of the Lakers Lounge. A reminder, tonight I will be on the air with the guys for All Access Lakers throughout the game. That is All Access Lakers, or no, that is playback.tv/All Access Lakers is where you could find us there. That is Raj that does that with me. You guys really like Shub on the show when he came on here. He does that show with me as well. Rome is also great. So we will be there doing the game tonight, and then afterward, immediately after her, we'll be right back in here in the Lakers Lounge to react to the game that we just saw. And then tomorrow we will be doing a happy hour together with you guys and the VIPs, who I am going to try to send a post to that will allow them onto the stage to come onto the show with me. That is going to be the first time that we do that tomorrow. And we will see how that goes. So if you would like to be one of those VIP members, you can go to where it says, where that subscribe button is. And I think look just to your right, and that option pops up there as well. So until tonight, and until after the game, and until after tomorrow, I'm Anthony Irwin. That is Aaron Larsuel. I'm Anthony Irwin of Lakers Daily.
There you go. I was about to be on your head for that. You mean Lakers Insider for Lakers Daily, Anthony Irwin.
Well, technically right now I am Anthony Irwin of Lakers Daily and Odyssey. Those are my two main employers.
Yes.
Also Substack and everywhere else.
Lakers
Also,
Insider.
if you guys are on TikTok, follow the Lakers Lounge on TikTok.
You have wait, Lakers Lounge has a TikTok?
Yeah, we have a TikTok where
aren't you a millennial?
I am.
I don't have TikTok. I mean,
so
I have
please
TikTok.
do find us on there. And
I have TikTok.
I don't scroll.
You can't imagine. I'm sure you have no guess why I would have TikTok, but I literally don't know how to post on there. I have one. Yeah. I just don't know how to post.
Yeah. All right. Aaron, that was Aaron Larsuel. I'm Anthony Irwin. Have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you in a matter of hours.